Good evening, this is Angela with Parkrose Permaculture. It's about 7 something in the evening, first week of May in Portland, Oregon, Zone 8B. I normally make a video every day and I hadn't made one yesterday or today. Actually, I have a couple of videos that I'm currently editing that will be out soon. So I didn't make a video today because we've had contractors here all day. We're about to have our house painted and they've been scraping and running power washers and the noise was unbelievable, and there was a crew of a bunch of guys here working and I couldn't do any garden work, and even if I could have gotten out here around all of the mess and chaos to do garden work, it was incredibly loud and I couldn't do a video. But now it's evening, it's quieter, even though my neighbors are working on things. It's rainy, it's lovely. Look at my garden this time of year. Oh, I love early May. It's beautiful. Everything looks real green. Things are starting to really get going. I love the drizzle. I love how cool it is in the evening. So I want to talk about a concept that has been utilized by permaculture that has been on my mind a lot lately. And that is the scale of permanence. So I'm gonna make a separate video, I think, in the future. If y'all are interested, let me know if you want me to make a video on what the scale of permanence is. It was a system and almost like a rubric, a way of thinking about agricultural design that was created by P.A. Yeomans in the 1950s. He was an Australian farmer. And it's really useful, and it really inspired Bill Mollison and other early permaculturists and really influenced them. So if you want me to make a video on that subject, I will, because the scale of permanence is really, it's a useful tool. But let's just suffice it to say for this video that the scale of permanence takes the notion of how much effort you have to put into something, how much energy and work you have to put into something to change it or to create it. And that is your y-axis, and your x-axis is how permanent that thing is over time. And so obviously if something is more impermanent, it takes less energy to change or create it. And if something is more permanent, it's going to take a greater effort to change or influence it. I've been thinking about this a lot because a number of weeks ago, somebody left a comment on one of my videos. And I was talking about how permaculture is a design system that we can use to help create sustainable ways of living and growing food, but that it is about regenerating the ecosystem, regenerating landscapes that we have damaged, and that it is also about creating systems that don't exploit people and create abundant living for people. And that would require not only changes in our agricultural systems, but changes in our cultural systems. And I got a comment that was basically like, why are you trying to save the world? Why do you think you can save the world, Angela? Don't you know when you die, somebody will just turn your garden back into a lawn? That was one of the cruelest things I think anybody has ever said. It was really, really, like, it just was a gut punch. Like, I don't think that I can save the world. I think that we can work together and make systemic changes to our society and the way we produce food that will help human beings live a more abundant and equitable life and will stop destroying the planet. So it's good for us and our home in the long range, right? Over the long term. So in the scale of permanence, the comment was basically like, the scale of permanence of your garden is just your lifespan, and then forget about it. Someone's going to turn it back into a lawn. That's just heartbreaking. I spend many, many hours in my garden and it's a labor of love, and I like the process of gardening is super fulfilling for me. But also I would like to think that it is something that could be passed down, right? That the trees I planted now and the trees I plant when I'm in my 70s will benefit people that I will never meet, that will feed people that I will never meet. And maybe my children and my grandchildren will want to enjoy this garden. And I don't think that that is a vain effort. I don't think that that is a fool's errand. So using Yeoman's scale of permanence without using it as he intended, I've been thinking about this comment. We can employ things in our gardens and in our lives that on the scale of permanence are not eternal, are not lasting beyond our lifespan, are not lasting beyond a season, and that is okay. I can plant a strawberry plant. Remember, in the scale of permanence, that's a low effort, low energy activity. I receive a yield from it very quickly, and it's a very impermanent thing. The life of a strawberry plant is short, and I receive benefit from it quickly, but it doesn't last forever. Think about the work of planting annual vegetables. Is that fruitless because it only lasts a season? So for me, even though this person's comment intended to hurt me, and it really upset me for a while, maybe not for the reasons that they were trying to upset me, but it hurt nonetheless. Stepping back and using the scale of permanence and thinking about whether something is more impermanent, more transient, more ephemeral, it doesn't mean it has less value. And just because something may not extend beyond our lifetime doesn't mean it doesn't have value, and doesn't mean that it's not permaculture. So I'm happy making these changes in my yard. I love the process and the journey of permaculture. I love the benefit it is providing to my children. I love the immediate low permanence benefit of the process day by day, every day in the garden. That is a lived experience in the moment. It is not lasting beyond that day. That doesn't mean it doesn't have value. So when I'm looking at the changes I'm making, some of the plants I put in right now, I know I'll be taking out in a few years. Some of the plants I'm planting right now, I hope that generations that I will never know will get to enjoy the food from and benefit from. So when you're thinking about your permaculture, when you're thinking about your garden, let's just take really crappy comments like, when you die, someone will turn your garden back into a lawn, so why bother? Just put that negative, unhelpful kind of attitude out of your mind. Set it aside. Just pluck that thought out, right? Like leaves in a stream meditation. Pluck that thought out, drop it on a leaf in the stream, and let it float away. That's not helpful. It's not helpful to your permaculture design. It's not accurate. If something is giving you a benefit, if something is raising the consciousness in your community or in your own mind of the importance of treating people ethically, not exploiting them, not exploiting the planet, and regenerating beautiful green spaces, regenerating habitat, helping wildlife, that is all well and good permaculture, even if it only lasts for your lifetime, even if you don't leave some eternal legacy. You don't know the ripples that it will have and the impact that it will have. Not to mention, the benefit to you as a person and your quality of life actually matters. So when you're doing permaculture, yes, we want to strive for permanent agriculture. We want to strive for permanent culture that is sustainable and regenerative and does not exploit people and does not exploit the environment. But that does not exist in isolation outside of the value of the process and the value to you as a person and your own life, your experience, your sensory experience and your intellectual experience and your emotional and spiritual experience of the garden have value. So I'll just show you a few images around the garden this evening. It's rainy, but I get a lot of joy out of it. I don't just get food. I get joy out of my garden. And so I'll show you around a little bit the things that are exciting me as I take those negative thoughts and I just put them on a leaf in the stream and say, actually, I'm going to focus on things that are good permaculture, and whether or not they are permanent, they are good permaculture in my life, in the life of my children, in the life of my community, maybe in the life of my community in the long term beyond my lifespan, but maybe not, and that's okay. So thanks for watching. Let me show you around a little bit, and thanks for sharing my thoughts, listening to me ramble a little bit as I process. I really enjoy interacting with you all, and a lot of the comments are really lovely and really bolstering and feels like a community to me. So I don't want to get bogged down by 1 or 2 negative comments, especially ones that distract me from the concept of good permaculture. So I hope you are able to focus on good permaculture. I hope you are able to focus on enjoying your garden, enjoying the benefit in your life, and realizing that your goals for the garden can exist on many different places in the scale of permanence. And that doesn't mean they have less value because they're less permanent. And it doesn't mean they're less real because they're less permanent. So I'll give you a little tour around here. I hope you tune back in for my next video because I have 3 that I'm editing right now that are coming up soon. Thanks for listening.